My name is Rob Sanders. Thanks for joining us here today. We've got a lot of great stuff planned as we move along here on a Friday. We're going to talk a little bit about some coaching stuff. Yeah, it's been kind of a mess on the coaching front. We'll get into that momentarily. Also, we're going to have a discussion about quarterbacks. And what I mean by that is that do you have to have an elite quarterback to be able to compete in the CFP? And you know what? We might as well start with that. I was thinking about that when I was driving in today. The big thing on this is if you look at the CFP, the last, let's say, the CFP started in 2014? Cardale Jones was the quarterback for Ohio State. Of course, he wasn't exactly the most elite quarterback. After that, you go into Alabama, and Alabama had, who was it that Alabama had there, Mr. Savage, college football sitting across the way?
It was Jake Coker.
Yeah, Jake Coker for Alabama. And then it gets interesting. It seems like the game has evolved. Remember we talked about Nick Saban and how Nick Saban has evolved, whereas, he's got 6 first-team All-Americans on offense, 1 on defense now. That Jake Coker team, I'm sure, had a ton of great defensive players on it. So after that season, that's 2015. 2016 is the year of Deshaun Watson. Then you go 2017, and that is a combination of Jalen Hurts and Tua Tagovailoa. Back to Trevor Lawrence, an elite quarterback in 2018. 2019, Joe Burrow, which if you ask an LSU fan, he invented football, even though he couldn't get off the bench at Ohio State. Yeah, people seem to forget that. Those little details there, they kind of hurt folks' feelings. Anyway, and then this year, you're going to have either a guy that was a finalist for the Heisman in Mac Jones, or you're going to have a guy that everyone's in love with in Justin Fields, and they think he's going to be the second pick in the NFL draft. I bring this up because we talk so much about, there's parity in college football among the Power 5 teams. You could be an 8-4 team and have some things go your way and make your way to the playoff. There's some of that mentality. But let's be honest. Are we at a point now where if you don't have a solid 1A quarterback, and what I mean by 1A quarterback is a guy that's going to play on Sundays, are you going to be able to compete in the CFP? 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. Do you need that, or is it at the point where you would you think you can get it done with the Cokers of the world or the Cardale Jones of the world? We'd love to get your thoughts on that this afternoon at 803-978-1832. By the way, I've got a special message for Gamecock fans today. Of course, the Gamecocks hired their offensive coordinator last night, Coach Satterfield, the offensive line coach for the Carolina Panthers. If you would have asked me yesterday who is the offensive line coach for the Carolina Panthers, I couldn't have told you for anything. Couldn't have done it. Okay? Now, but I want to help Gamecock fans out a little bit here. That big quarterback prospect, Gunnar Stockton, which right now is the star of the South Carolina class for later on. You think that young man's not on Twitter? He's not on Facebook, Instagram, whatever. You think that he doesn't have friends that are going to send him stuff about the school that he's going to? If you want that young man to come to South Carolina, shut the hell up on Twitter. Stop saying things like, I have no clue who this offensive coordinator, who is this guy? What has he done? You think that that's going to help bring this guy to South Carolina? Don't be that fan. Don't be the guy that's going to run your mouth, and when in all actuality, you don't know anything about him. You don't. You know that Coach Beamer likes him. Coach Beamer likes him enough to hire him. And by the way, it's the same thing with fans for every school. I'm just using South Carolina because my Twitter feed last night was the same way. Lots of people losing their mind about, man, this guy, who is he? What's he going to do? Already a strike on Shane Beamer was one of the tweets that I read. This is an early strike on Shane Beamer in his coaching career. He hasn't coached a down of spring ball yet, but he's already got strikes against him. What do you want? What exactly do you want? Because I don't get it. Now, I know that I'm talking about the extreme, far-reaching side of silliness, where you could have, I don't know, Paul Bear Bryant in his heyday with his system working to the maximum amount of effectiveness down there coaching South Carolina, and someone would still have the audacity to complain that maybe Coach Bear Bryant is not good enough. I get that. But in the times of the social media age, people see things. And if he sees some of this stuff, I don't know how he's going to react. No clue. I know that if I'm a fan, I wouldn't want people to see that out of me. And by the way, if Coach Satterfield comes in here and has a lights-out offense next season, you're going to feel really stupid, because there are people out there like me who like to go back and look at tweets and can see things like, oh, wow, you're waving that Coach Satterfield flag now, but you didn't really care for him back when you didn't, quote, know who he was. Oh, you don't remember? Here's that tweet for you. That's what you thought. Cautious optimism, folks. Let's try some of that when it comes to coaches. Just saying. Let's take a deep breath for a moment. If they aren't proven yet, give them a chance to be proven. It's simple. All right, if you want to respond to that, 803-978-1832. Now, a coach that has been out there that we can roll over the fires is Harbaugh at Michigan. This guy signed a new contract yesterday, or is in the works, however you want to call it. He probably signed it 4 days ago. You never know. Now, remember back when Michigan signed Harbaugh, and it was literally like, look at us. We've got like a brand new Porsche. That's what we've got. And he comes in and he's bombastic's the word I want to use? I think that's the word I want to use. Very over the top as far as his personality goes. All right. This guy's making $8 million a year from the University of Michigan, and he's outstanding. That's the vibe that they're wanting to give you. The contract that Michigan gave him, in addition to, and he's just as much at fault for the contract that he signed with Michigan, it makes Michigan the discount store of college football. They really are. He went from making $8 million in his first year to, hey, now I'm going to make $4 million. Yeah. Now I know that's, man, $4 million, man, I'll never make that in my, yeah, I get that. But this guy was being courted by 5 NFL teams, according to several different sources. He could have walked in and been the Chicago Bears coach if he really wanted to. I mean, the writing is on the wall there for that. He could have went and coached the Detroit Lions if he wanted to. But no, I'm going to take a 50% pay cut. 50%. And I'm going to stay where I'm at. That is the land of silliness. And to be honest, Michigan's at the point now where in the pecking order of the Big Ten, they're behind. They're definitely behind Ohio State. I don't think they beat Ohio State in I don't know how many years. But you can make an argument Penn State's ahead of them. I think Northwestern has a better coach than they have. Just saying. Now, people will argue and say, hey, he just didn't come up well against Ohio State and everything else. When you're in the Big Ten and that is your rivalry game, you should be able to beat Ohio State at least one time. I don't think that's like this big reach here. How long has he been there? 2014. He hasn't won one time. One time. And most of the games haven't even been remotely close. It, my friends, is a mess. 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call. If you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400, of course, around the world on the iHeartRadio app. My name is Rob Sanders. I will be here this afternoon with you until 4 o'clock. But I wanted to put those things out there and get your opinion on those. With that, do you think you need that as well? So we'll take calls on that at 803-978-1832. 803-978-1832 is the number to call if you'd like to join us here on the Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. NFL games this weekend, we'll be getting into those as well. It's kind of weird not having two teams with the actual bye. Having just a one-team bye is very interesting. So we'll get into that a little bit later on. We'll head out to the phones. And welcome into the Rundown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Rob. It's Ray. How are you doing?
Hey, what's up, buddy? How are you, man?
I'm good. That's a good question you put out there. Yeah, I do think you need an elite quarterback these days to compete in the CFP, especially if you have any intentions of getting near that top four. I think it's vital. And just to give you an example, you know, I'm a Gamecock fan, but I do like Lawton says, a peek over the fence, I guess.
Yep.
But I look at Clemson, and they were a very good team. But when they got Deshaun Watson, they went from good to great. And then it just continued with Lawrence. And we'll see what this guy, who I can't pronounce his name now, but I'm sure by this time next year it'll be a household name. You know, I'm not even going to try it. I'd butcher the name right now. But anyway, the 5-star freshman that's at quarterback right now.
Right.
And we'll see if he translates into that. If he does, I mean, that's just three very elite quarterbacks in a row that Dabo and the Tigers have been able to get. But I do think you have to have that elite quarterback. You're going to go as far as your quarterback takes you, because these days, the way offenses, was it Saban that said it's, I don't know, I can't remember, circus on grass or whatever. So really, if you got that good quarterback, then keep your offense out there. A good quarterback's going to outscore the other team's offense, so it's going to put you in position to win. I agree with that 100%. The last thing I was going to say, I've heard this thing about coaching in the SEC. The coaching in the SEC, you got to have SEC experience as a coach. Well, I was thinking about our last regime, Coach Muschamp and Bobo, and I don't wish those guys bad luck, none whatsoever. I'm sure they did their best, but you couldn't find a more SEC-laden coaching crew than that whole bunch. I mean, think about those guys. Not only do they coach in the SEC at other schools, they played in the SEC at a higher level, and it just didn't work out. So now I'm kind of glad we're kind of thinking outside the box, with Beamer and with Satterfield. So I'm real excited, and heck, I wanted them to do this 5 years ago, but I'm excited that we got an offensive coordinator that Beamer hired, not one that he inherited. That's kind of what I got to say. But thanks a lot, Robin. Have a nice weekend.
All right, bud. Thanks a lot, man. Appreciate you calling. All right, back to the phones we go. Welcome back into the rundown. Hello. All right. Well, you can call us back. All right, there you go with that. Ray makes a lot of great points there. And the idea of bringing in new folks, it makes sense. Really does. You have the opportunity to build on something new. It's just funny because you look at I use Coastal Carolina as an example. They had their coach now, Jamie Chadwell, who was, of course, at Charleston Southern, then ends up going down to Coastal Carolina and does great things down there. Nobody really knew who Coach Chadwell was. Guess what? He's the coach of the country, man. Best coach in the country, according to the AP. Why not take a leap? That's better than just sitting back and having another retread come in. That you kind of already know what you're going to get. On the coaching front, man, these guys don't change their stripes. Not when it comes to, hey, I've failed here and failed there. The best coaches are the ones that can evolve. Like a Nick Saban. I use him as a perfect example because the team he's got now that he's rolling out on Monday night, if you would have told him what this team was 10 years ago, he would have laughed at you. Jamie Online says Michigan is a joke. Yes, sir. They are the discount store of college football. More of the rundown when we come back. You're listening to Fox Sports Radio 1400. My video dropped there, guys. Sorry about that. Charlie, that's a great. Charlie, I'm going to read yours when I come back because that's actually funny. Fair enough, Charlie. I like it. I like that. I just get frustrated because I'm reading some of this stuff and I'm like, man, this is crazy. Hey, Tom, how are you, sir? Trying to, man. Wrapping up the week, brother. I'm having some issues today. I didn't stop at the store and get my customary Red Bull pear. So I'm drinking like some tea. I got some tea here, but my caffeine level's down. So yeah, these are awkward problems of the chunky radio host. I've got my intern here, but I can't send him to the store. That's not gonna work. I'm not putting you anywhere. That's funny. Anyway, we might put you on the. All right, well, in the chat room, do you guys want to hear the intern on the air or not? If you do, let me know over there, and we'll let him do NFL picks. That's how that'll work. There you go. You're at the mercy of the chat room.
Oh, Lord.
There you go. Caffeine headaches suck. Yeah, I know, right? It's a good point there, buddy. The Muschamp Arrow was a caffeine headache. That's great. By the way, don't forget myself and Carolina Jackpot doing a live reaction stream on Monday night during the national championship game. Lots of beer will be drunk, I assure you. All right, here we go. And welcome back into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world in the iHeartRadio app. Some comments from the chat room that have been really good. Charlie says, if you go to your girlfriend and try to make her jealous and she tells you to fly a kite and has another dude by that night, you know she wasn't really into you. That was Bobo in a nutshell. Thank you for that, sir. Let's see here. What else do we got? Jamie says, can't believe they wouldn't at least try to go after somebody like Matt Campbell. Of course, he's talking about Michigan. 2-12 against top 10 opponents and 0-5 against Ohio State is abysmal. Yeah, absolutely. Completely agree. I mentioned that I forgot my customary Red Bull pair, which, by the way, Red Bull should be sponsoring this show because I would do it for just the product. Just saying. I should have we've got like behind the scenes here. We've got like our own little refrigerator in here. It should be stocked with peach red or the pear Red Bull. Anyway, but I couldn't stop and get it today, and people are talking about me getting a caffeine headache. You're probably right. I may get a caffeine headache. I don't know. We'll see. And then someone says it feels like that's Tom says it feels like the whole Muschamp era was a caffeine headache. All right. You're welcome to respond. You can follow the show on Twitter. You can watch it there at Rob Sounds Good. By the way, my poll up on Twitter, the poll on Twitter says, do you need a great quarterback to win at the CFP level? 82% of the folks that voted in that poll say yes, you have to have a great quarterback, whereas 18% say no. I agree with what our caller said earlier. Yeah, it's getting to the point now where it looks like you got to have an elite quarterback if you want to plan to be at the top of the CFP food chain. If you look back, what were the other matchups in the CFP here? We had Alabama playing. Who was Alabama playing? Oh, they had Ian Book, who was a top 10 Heisman candidate in Notre Dame, and Clemson had Ohio State. You had 4 top college quarterbacks. Just saying. It's going to be interesting as we move forward, if this is just like a little bump in the road here, or if that's the way that it's going to be. If you plan on being an elite college program playing at the elite college football playoff level, you're going to have that quarterback. It's kind of already that way in the NFL. It really is. You look at the teams that are in the playoffs right now. I mean, what's the weakest quarterback? Don't say the Chicago Bears. They shouldn't be in the playoff anyway. I'm just saying the majority of the teams that are going to compete for the Super Bowl have really good quarterbacks. It's already that way in the pros. I think it's moving its way down to the college ranks now. And the way that's going to end up happening, what's going to end up happening with that is that, there's only so many good quarterbacks that are out there. Let's just say that there's going to be, 10. We'll go with 10 great quarterbacks. Of those 10, 3 of them aren't going to have, something's going to happen with them where the team has no defense. They're basically the Houston Texans, something like that. The other 7 are probably going to be right there in the mix to win their conference and be in the CFP discussion. Tom says Alex Smith, yes, but the Washington Redskins are 7-9, shouldn't be in the playoffs. Just saying. Yeah, they are the Washington football team. That's right. Thank you for that. I keep calling them I don't mean to be rude with all that. There you go. Nick Foles. Yeah, Nick Foles, you can talk about him too. That's a good point. I mean, but generally, the rest of the league has good quarterbacks. Pretty good quarterbacks. As of right now, as we'll look down the rest of the NFC and AFC games that are up this weekend. But I look at right off the bat, I mean, Kansas City with Pat Mahomes, outstanding. Who's the 2 seed in the West? I got to look at that. I got to look all that up. But anyway, Tom also tweets out, do you see talks of the Texans trading Watson for the first round pick and potentially Lawrence? They just had the update at the top of the hour where the the Texans representative said, hey, Deshaun Watson's the quarterback. Deshaun Watson he just signed like a 5-year deal. He's not going anywhere. I mean, he's not going anywhere. So, but for the people that think that, there's a section of people that are like, and Blake just mentioned something about this too. Getting rid of Watson would be a smart move. He had a horrible win-loss record. Sir, the reason that the Houston Texans lost 12 games this year was because they had the worst defense in the league. Deshaun Watson led the league in passing yards, had 33 touchdowns, which is a Houston record. Deshaun Watson is not the problem. The problem is that they traded away all their picks. He's not going to be able to have someone, as far as some young folks, they're going to be able to get in the first or second round. And there's reports that he was upset that they didn't even interview Eric Bieniemy, who is the man that orchestrates that great Kansas City offense. They didn't even interview him there. So there's that. Now, in my opinion, and I feel this way about any player, if you sign a 5-year contract, okay, then fulfill your 5-year contract. They're paying him a lot of money to play football. All right. I get frustrated when it's like, well, I don't have what I need here to win. Well, you know what? Finish your contract and then you can go somewhere else. Nobody made you, sign that contract. Trust me, with the talent that Deshaun Watson has, he would have been picked up by somebody. He could have finished out his rookie contract and walked and went somewhere else. If you don't like the way things are where you are, that's why your contract ends. Go somewhere else. I mean, I understand they can franchise tag you and everything else, but it's silly. It's silly, man. People trying to put together dream teams annoy me to the end of time. Play where you were drafted at, man. At least give them an opportunity to try to do some things. I think basketball. I remember Kevin Garnett played for the Minnesota Timberwolves, and they were really good. They couldn't get anything done in the playoffs, but they were good. He ended up moving on after his contract was up. It's just the way it should be. Saying. Firevault Online says the Texans suck without him. They would be the Jets. They're not that much better than the Jets right now. Just saying. You think that the Texans are going to be viable next year with that defense? No. Who the Texans need to get rid of is J.J. Watt. Get that money off the books. I know the Texan fans don't want to hear that, and he's a great guy. That's awesome. He's also old in the terms of NFL years. 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832 is the number to call. If you want to talk a little football with us this afternoon, if you have a Tommy Lasorda story that you like, my favorite, I think I retweeted it earlier, is where he beat up the Philly Fanatic. Like the Philly Fanatic had like a Tommy Lasorda life-size doll. Tommy Lasorda beat him up on the third baseline. Anyone that throws things at the Philly Fanatic is good for me. All right, so we'll take your calls when we come back. You're listening to The Rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Cam's got an attitude problem. You can see that. Blake's right about that. I'll give you that, Blake. Yeah, Ole Miss won 5 games, though, Blake. They won 5 games. Ole Miss wasn't that great at all. Well, welcome back into the rundown on Fox Sports Radio 1400 around the world in the iHeart Radio app. My name is Rob Sanders. Lots of comments there. We're ripping Cam Newton because he's old. Fireball says Cam's old and his arm is terrible now. I see him miss a 15-yard pass short. Yeah, you're right about that. I don't think he was a good teammate either. That's a good point there, too, from Blake. Good stuff there. All right, so we're going to run through the NFL matchups really quick. Joining me in studio today, a gentleman that's doing some intern work with me here. You can follow him on Instagram it's at Savage College Football, right?
Yes, it is. The username is at Savage College FB. I post college football news daily and the best source of news on Instagram.
Well, there you go. Pull your microphone up to you, bud, so people can hear you.
All right, sorry.
There you go with that. All right, so Mr. Savage College Football joining us today. We're going to run through some NFL stuff. All right, here we go. Your matchups. The first one, number 7 Colts at the number 2 Bills. The Bills are in the playoffs for the third time in 4 years after being out of the playoffs for 17 seasons straight. You know, I think that the Bills are hot right now. They are a 6.5-point favorite over the Colts. I think that this is the game where the Colts quarterback is, my goodness, the guy that played at NC State. His name is Phillip Rivers. There you go. I think this is the game where he folds. And I think that the Bills run away with it. They're 6.5. So I would take the Bills. Who do you got, buddy?
I have the Bills. Their high-powered offense with Stephon Diggs and Josh Allen will just be unstoppable. I do not believe Phillip Rivers will be able to perform well enough to have the Colts win this one. So I'm going to take the Bills.
Yep. So we'll see how that works out for them and go from there. But I think the Bills win maybe 30-17, something like that. Here's the next interesting matchup. The 6th Rams, number 6 seed, the Rams at the number 3 seed, the Seattle Seahawks. By the way, they're putting some of these games on Nickelodeon. I'm serious. What in the world is that? Nickelodeon's supposed to have, oh, never mind. That's like MTV asking them to have music videos. Now we're going to have an NFL playoff game. Great. All right. Anyway. So the 6-seeded Rams tomorrow take on the 3-seed Seahawks. Seattle's a 3.5-point favorite. Everybody's in love with Seattle. I'm taking the Rams. Why? The Rams have that great defense, and I like Donald a lot. I think he can fill it up in the middle, keep Russell Wilson from making plays with his feet. Look for the Rams to win that game outright on the road in Seattle.
I'm going to have to disagree with you on this one, Rob.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm going to take the Seahawks. Too many offensive weapons. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, Russell Wilson, Chris Carson. I just think it'll be too much for the Rams defense to stop in the end. I do think the defense will perform well overall, but I do have the Seahawks winning by 1 possession.
All right, well, there you go with that. The next matchup is the Saturday night matchup. The number 5 Tampa Bay Buccaneers, led by Old Man River, Tom Brady. I mean, this guy is an old guy. We talked about Cam Newton being old. I mean, it's like Tom Brady has found the fountain of youth, okay? As they take on the Washington football team, they go on the road to play the Washington football team. This is a 7-9 Washington football team. But Tampa Bay is the 5 seed, and they are an 8.5-point favorite over the Washington football team here. There's talk that Coach Ron Rivera said that they may run 2 quarterbacks out there. Alex Smith has a, quote, hamstring strain or something like that. I don't know what it is, all right? But the reality is that, after the injury that he suffered, just the fact that he's able to go out there and compete at an NFL level is outstanding. But you know what? I think the Buccaneers will win, but I think 8.5 points is a lot of points. So give me Washington to cover, but Tampa Bay to win. What do you got on it, brother?
I kind of agree with you on this one. The Washington football team defense is very impressive. They've been impressive overall this year. So I do believe that the Buccaneers will win outright, but they will not win by 8.5. They will win by maybe 3.
Maybe 3. That's fair. All right, Sunday, your 1 o'clock matchup. The number 5 Ravens at the number 4 Titans. This game is going to have some hitting. And Derrick Henry is a guy that's been running crazy over the Ravens for a long time. He ran for 195 yards in the divisional round last season, 133 yards, including a 29-yard overtime run in overtime to seal a victory against them this year. So stopping Derrick Henry is going to be tough. And this is the kind of game where, everybody loves Lamar Jackson, but I don't think he's the proven commodity that Derrick Henry is. Derrick Henry's out there. He just looks like he's bigger than everybody else. Just bigger, stronger. They're not even on the same game, in the same wavelength with him. So, yeah, there's that. With that, the line on this game has Baltimore favored by 3. I'm taking the Titans to win outright.
I agree with you there. I don't think that the Ravens will be able to stop Derrick Henry. They weren't able to do it last time. I don't see them being able to do it again. Henry has 2 touchdowns this game, one of them being in the fourth quarter, very critical. I see the Titans winning by maybe 10 points.
Yeah, I think the Titans are going to come out big there. That's the 5 and the 4 seed there. The next matchup is the 7th-seeded Bears at the number 2 Saints. New Orleans, a 9.5-point favorite. The Saints could get Michael Thomas back. I think we've talked about this before. There's this whole adage that Michael Thomas is one of the best wide receivers in the NFL. I'm not buying it. I think he's a byproduct of Drew Brees. I really do. That's why the Saints are the number 2 seed, and he didn't play much this season. Just saying. I think that it comes down to getting him back is not the biggest of deal. Getting Alvin Kamara back, though, is a big deal. If they get Alvin Kamara back, they're going to cover this 8.5. The 9.5 by a lot, but that depends on if Alvin Kamara is there. So we're going to say that he's going to be there. With that, I think the Saints roll 27-10.
That's a fair pick. I think the Bears will score 13, but I have the Saints scoring maybe 30. So
well, there you go. So 30-13 for you. All right. So up next, the 8:00 matchup on Sunday Night Football. The 6-seeded Browns at the 3-seed Steelers. Steelers are a 5.5-point favorite. Pittsburgh safety Minka Fitzpatrick calls Cleveland running back Nick Chubb one of the most complete backs in the league, is one of the things that I've read up here on these guys. But I still think they're the Cleveland Browns. Until they beat somebody and show me they can do it, I'm not going to pick against them. Give me Pittsburgh to cover at home the 5.5. What do you got?
In the last 5 games, the Steelers have only won 1 game.
Yep.
I'm probably going to get a lot of hate for this, but I'm actually going to take the Browns in this one, Rob.
Yeah, okay. Well, that's fair enough. I know the Steelers have lost 5 straight. Fireval mentions that online. I'm just not buying the Browns. And maybe it's because I don't get to see a lot of the Browns, or maybe it's because I could watch the Browns, but I choose not to. I choose to do other things.
Because they're the Browns?
Because they're the Browns. Exactly. Not buying anything the Browns do until they actually show me something in the playoffs. I think they're going to be the new version of the Bengals when they had Marvin Lewis and they had the quarterback from TCU, that's now the quarterback for the Cowboys, Andy Dalton, and they were running around throwing balls to
Ochocinco.
No, they were
Green.
AJ Green and everything else, and they were outstanding then. Not so much now. I think that's how it's going to be. I really do. So give me the Steelers, and I think the Steelers win comfortably. I really do.
Really?
Yep, that's where I'm going. It's going to be 24-7.
Wow.
Yep. I don't think that's how it's going to go. I could be wrong.
That's a very interesting take. I will be honest.
Sure. Well, we'll see how that works out. There's your wild card picks for the weekend. We're going to take a quick break. We'll wrap up this week of the show. 803-978-1832. Still taking calls on, do you think that you need a quarterback, an elite quarterback, to win at the CFP level? Yeah. We'll talk about that a lot more in just a moment on the rundown here on Fox Sports Radio 1400.
Did I do okay?
You guys think Baker Mayfield's hated? I don't think he's hated. I think the most hated quarterback in the league is Tom Brady, and I'm just saying it just seems like everybody wants him to fail. I don't have a problem with Tom Brady, but it could be Cam Newton. I don't know if people hate him, though. Is there a quarterback you have just a disdain for? Look, I'm not saying I hate him, Tom. I'm just saying other people do. I don't get the disdain for Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan's I don't know. Well, that's an interesting one, to be honest with you. He puts up good numbers. You going with Newton? That's okay. He's not in the league anymore with Kaepernick, so welcome back to the rundown. Final segment of the afternoon here on Fox Sports Radio 1400. Appreciate the folks watching online today. We were talking about during the break about, is there a quarterback that you absolutely despise in the NFL? And people were like, I think there's a lot of people that don't like Tom Brady. I really do. I think there's like a disdain for the Patriots too, to be honest with you. But on the other hand, one of the names that came up in the chat room there is Cam Newton. That's interesting too. So which quarterback do you hate the most in the NFL? We'll take calls on that too at 803-978-1832. Sean Payton, by the way, floated out an idea to get 50,000 Saints fans in the Superdome during the pandemic. Yeah, kind of interesting to say the least. So when the mayor of New Orleans denied the request to allow fans in the Superdome, the teams considered playing games outdoors at LSU Stadium in Baton Rouge. In October, the mayor agreed to a plan that would have seen attendance to increase to about 15,000 fans by the end of the season, but that was scrapped after New Orleans, along with the country, saw an increase in COVID-19 cases. So Peyton told reporters on Wednesday, I brought up the idea of testing 50,000 people and quarantining them in a hotel and having the most safest Superdome known to man scientifically. I don't think that'll work. All right, out to the phones we go. Welcome into the rundown. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
What's up, buddy? How are you?
Good. I despise Lamar Jackson.
You despise Lamar Jackson. Why do you despise Lamar Jackson?
Because he is a running back that plays quarterback.
Yeah. I mean, but that makes you hate him, though.
Yeah, I mean,
What
he's
what
got
did
good.
Lamar Jackson do to you, sir? Because I think it's just maybe did he beat your team up or something? Does he always give your team problems?
No, I mean, maybe. I mean, I like the Tennessee Titans, so I know the Titans are gonna take him out first round.
Well, we'll see how that goes. I've never heard anybody not liking Lamar Jackson though, so I don't know.
just despise him because he's a quarterback he's a running back that plays quarterback.
Well, hey man, appreciate you joining us on the show today, buddy. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, there you go. So there's a call that someone doesn't like Lamar Jackson. I just think that Lamar Jackson may have done something to him. I don't know. Maybe some Clemson fans still upset with him because he took the Heisman Trophy away from Deshaun Watson. There's definitely some people that don't like that. But I think he's more than a running back that plays quarterback. He can throw the ball a little bit. Anyway, he has them floaters. Thank you, Fireball. But back to Sean Payton. He says, bust them. They've tested every day, and you got a COVID-free facility. I think that's possible. I don't know if it's taken off or not. Who in the blue world is going to pay for that? Let's get 50,000 people together, put them in a hotel, and we'll test them for, 3 days out and make sure they're good to go so we can have 50,000 fans at the Superdome. This is a different level of stupidity. I'm sorry, man. I know people want to get their stuff out there, but that's crazy. Back out to the phones we go. Afternoon, welcome to the Rundown.
I'm sorry, man.
Hey, what's up?
I want to get their stuff out there.
Yo, what's up? Turn your radio down. All right, hang up on me then. Anyway, yeah, 803-978-1832, 803-978-1832. That's not going to work. Blake says Lamar can flop. See his last College Bowl game against Mississippi State. Absolutely terrible. Good point, sir. Good point. But is there really a quarterback that you really just don't like? You know, I think that the haters of the world don't like Tom Brady. I'm not a Tom Brady fan, but if he's playing, I don't have like this level of I just don't like him. You know what I mean? I didn't like Troy Aikman for the Dallas Cowboys. I can put that out there. Didn't like him at all. He just seemed like an arrogant idiot to me. So there's that. Are there other quarterbacks I didn't like? I think after that, I didn't like Terrell Owens as a wide receiver. You know, he just seemed the whole thing with him bouncing around with popcorn and everything else and crying about his quarterback. Stop it. It's not the end of the world, Terrell Owens. What's wrong with you? So yeah, there's that too. Anyway, we got those games this weekend. Looking forward to watching some playoff football this weekend. And you know what? There's a section of folks that are like, hey, man, I don't like to watch the NFL, but they'll watch this weekend. They'll watch. The NFL playoff numbers will be really, really, really good. I assure you. All right, here we go. Out to the phones. Welcome to the Rundown. Good afternoon. Hello.
I hate him, Tom.
All right, you got it. You got to learn to turn your radio down, man. Hello.
I don't get the.
All right, I can't hear myself, buddy. Give you a second. All right, turn your radio down. Are you there? Hello.
That's an interesting one.
Hello.
Yeah, it's Cam.
Yeah, go ahead.
Cam by far.
Cam Newton. Okay. Well, I can see why people don't like Cam Newton. I get that. Now that's a good one. You can make an argument. He quit in the Super Bowl and he sits there with a towel on his head on the sideline. Yeah, I can buy that. That's a fair one, sir. Good point, man. Thank you for that.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, I agree with all the above. Plus the college, his father paid to get him at Auburn. So that plus everything you said, it has to be Cam.
Maybe it is. You're right about that, man. That's a good point. So thank you for calling, sir. I appreciate it.
Thank you, sir.
All
Have
right.
a good day.
Yeah, man. A good point online. He dresses like an old grandma. That's a polite way of saying it. I don't know who picks out this guy's clothes. But my goodness, man, he walked in looking like a mix of I'm going to get you, sucker, and like, I don't know. I mean, just wow with Cam Newton's wardrobe. Crazy. That may be reason enough to hate Cam Newton by himself. The fact that he doesn't know how to properly dress himself. Now, bear in mind, I'm standing here in jeans and a Star Wars t-shirt today. But I don't look like a complete idiot, though. You could pass me on the side of the road and you wouldn't turn your head to look at me and be like, oh, that guy's out of whack. Can you imagine if Cam Newton, he gets out, he leaves, what's the name of this Patriot Stadium after a game or whatever. And he's in his car and he's like, oh, I got to stop and get gas. He pulls this Ferrari or whatever the heck it is. He drives up to the thing and gets out of the car in that outfit. People are going to look at him like, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? My grandpa used to tell me, with that, you want to go slap his dad. All right, out to the phones we go. Final call of the week. Good afternoon. Welcome to the Rundown.
Hello.
Yes, you have a quarterback you don't like?
What is it?
A quarterback you don't like. Do you have one?
I would have to say, like NFL or college.
It's NFL quarterbacks. All right, we got to move on, man. The show's really fast paced today as we're getting ready to get out of here. But thanks for calling, though. So yeah, the more and more I think about it, it's Cam Newton just because of his outfits, and then the fact that he wears a towel on the sidelines and tries to cover his head up. Cam doesn't even attempt to go after fumbles, Blake said. Why the Patriots would want him after seeing that is beyond me. I don't know. All right, follow me on Twitter. I'm at Rob Sounds Good. I'll be there throughout the weekend, tweeting out whatever comes to my brain. Also, download the podcast. It'll be up this afternoon at 5 o'clock. Thanks for joining us here on The Rundown. We will be back at it on Monday. Lawton Swan from Clemson Sports Talk is next. He is the czar of Clemson Sports. Be sure to check him out from 4 to 6. My name is Rob Sanders. I'll see you on Monday. Hey, thank you guys watching online, man. You guys are awesome. Thanks so much. We'll see you later on.